Hustle Sanctuary.
There you go. Hey, that could be the open.
Hustle Sanctuary.
We need drops.
Hey man, I got that. I can give you some, man.
There we go. Yes, that's right. Welcome to the Hustle Sanctuary. My name is DJ Hapa. Samson is here as usual as well. And we've got Oren Yoel on this episode. We're very excited to have him. Super producer. Can I call you that? A super producer?
Sure, man. Sure. Let's get super, man. Let's get super.
No, you're very talented. Also songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, responsible for many, many hit records. You got a big record that's coming with Miley Cyrus. That's very exciting, man. And we want to talk to you, and we're very pleased to have you here on the Hustle Sanctuary. I think first things first.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. First things first, we want to get into what does the word hustle mean to you?
Not giving a fuck.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like you just got to put your head down and work, man. That's really the hustle mentality, and put on the blinders because there's a lot of distractions, and you just got to get past them. There's
And is that something that you had to learn over time? Was to how to deal with those distractions and how to be focused like that?
100%. Yeah, I can get distracted just like the next man. You know what I mean?
Right.
You just gotta keep the blinders on. I've had a lot of like situations where I just felt like, people were just trying to get in my path, and not even in they were trying to. It just happened that way, and you just gotta put the blinders on.
We obviously recognize your hustle, and being a music producer, I feel like you're constantly hustling for what's next because you're essentially your own boss. It's not like you check in, to a job and punch the clock 9 to 5. Like you're having to make this work, and what you don't go out and kill, you don't eat.
No, 100%. Yeah.
Let's talk about what that early grind was like for you, man.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Honestly, man, I started trying to make tracks when I was like 14 or 15. Before that, I was just playing instruments, as we were talking about before. We just like the clarinet and shit, and just like some band instruments. I had a friend that had a keyboard, a workstation, and you were able to program. So I kind of was annoying and would try to come to his crib and just try to get, hey man, let me get on it. And I loved it so much. I knew I wanted to do it, and I just put all my focus and energy in making sure that I'd get my own equipment. So I got like some BS jobs at the pizza shop and like all sorts of stuff to get that Korg Triton. I don't know if you guys remember that thing.
I remember
that
Triton.
was the hotness back in the day. And just really just built from there. I didn't really have a plan. I didn't really know anything. And I made a ton of mistakes, you know what I mean? But you live and you learn, and it becomes a part of your story,
What was one of the most memorable like mistakes that you're like, okay, now I know, never do that again?
I'll be honest, I don't want to talk about it on the radio because they're like,
talk about it, but leave the names out.
I'll leave the name out. I've signed some stupid stuff. You got to be really careful what you sign, man. And the honest truth is you have to know who's working for you and against you. I've learned from that now, But sometimes something, even if you know the facts, you also have to understand sometimes people's intentions, and you might not know who's in cahoots with one another. So, yeah, you learn from that and you grow.
Right.
Let's open this up a bit. Like, what do you think is like a major roadblock more across the board? Like, not just in your path, but in general with the early grind for a lot of people?
Probably knowing like the steps to take and like what's the least path of resistance. Like for me, when I first got started, I was just in the room by myself making beats like an idiot. You know what I mean? But I don't think that's how music is made. It's not really how it's enjoyed, made, or in the history of time. You have to get with people and artists. So I was sitting there and perfecting my craft, and maybe obviously it made me who I am. But it you have to like get with artists and make real songs. Just making like tracks and like concentrating on the sonic characteristics of things is not how it's done. So that's definitely, I think, the first step is as you start embarking on a journey to make music, you also got to get with like-minded people, like-minded writers, artists, producers, and everything happens in a movement. It's not like just things happen like one guy takes it to the finishing line. Everything's in movements, and we're pack animals. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's really what it is. We work together in groups. So I think that if you look at all the things that have popped off at an early stage, it's because it's in a group. They started it early, and it was like-minded individuals. So I think that's the best advice I can give to somebody starting out, is definitely like get out there and into the world, even if that's
On that note, like I feel like ego comes up a lot in that subject because some success hits, egos come,
Easily.
and then it breaks apart the pack. You know what I mean?
Well, I think a lot of times what's happening too, which I'm noticing, is that a lot of these cats are like totally self-contained, right? Because they have their YouTube channels and they have all that, and they're doing everything by themselves. So then to get to that next level, they have a hard time understanding they need to let go a little bit, and that's the thing. So I'm noticing on both sides, also the cats who do it by themselves, to get it to the next level, you need some help, man. It's really hard. I can't even think, like Michael Jackson needed help.
Yeah, right.
Like if Michael Jackson needed help, like you need help. Beyonce has a vocal coach, like I just think that sometimes people have, as you were saying, that ego. You have to put that aside, because all the greatest, like they're learners.
And never stop learning.
No,
right?
100%.
You have to continue to perfect that.
Yeah.
That's interesting that you said that working in these packs and in these group scenarios, are there people then that you definitely know, like, all right, we make magic together, and were there situations where you're just like, it's just not happening?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like first dates in this business, like when you're writing with people. So, you'll have a session and you'll see, do I vibe with this person? Sometimes it just, you guys are great, but it just didn't work that day. Or sometimes you might need it in an extra day. But yeah, I mean, I have some people that I like, I of course, over time. And that changes over time too. As you kind of do other things and other things inspire you. You start catching a wave with other people,
You've ever been talked into doing a session where at first you were like, I'm not sure
All
about
the
this,
time,
and then you do it and you're like, oh, this is magic.
All the time. And this is the funny thing about with me is like, I think it's I'm learning about myself every day, man. And that happens to me all the time. Like a session, I'll be like, I don't know. A lot of times, sometimes those will turn out really, really well. I have a great team around me. Like my guy Duran, for example, like he's always got a fantastic ear, and every time I'm always like, I don't know, and he's like, you should listen to it again, And I have those ears around me. My wife, she's fantastic. She's like, this shit is hot, because she doesn't like that much. So I know,
right.
So it's all those things. Like I don't have all the answers. So sometimes I might not be excited about a session, but if somebody around me that I really respect is like, yo, you might want to do this, I'll do it. And a lot of times those do turn out well, like for real. Like, but sometimes they don't. I had one a few days ago I didn't really like, So it's like, and then I'm never going to be on that told you so. Right. You have to just go through it. It's a day of your life, which is a lot, but it's, it's something you do.
And would you go back and revisit any of those, like on, something that maybe didn't work the first time, and it wasn't magic that first time? Would you potentially go back and go to another session and try to figure that out with that same person?
Yeah, especially if I like them too. Like there's also vibes in the room too. Like, if someone's really dope in the room and you catch a wave with somebody, sometimes it's like you build that superhuman power with a couple people, and it's like, I don't know. It's sometimes it's magic. It's like when two people are in the room, because you can have two incredible people together that just don't vibe, and it's not going to be dope. That happens all the time. But it's just like there's a magic sometimes. And then sometimes somebody is not really that hot, but they get with that one other person that just brings it out of them. And it's like, boom, you got a team.
So talk to us about, you worked with Asher Roth early, right?
Yeah.
What was it about? What was it about Asher where you guys just vibed? Like,
we still vibe, man. I love that kid. That's my guy. I mean, he's, we just we vibed on a lot of things. I don't even know, man. We just instantly connected. Seriously, like as people, because to make music, it's like it's personal. So you have to connect with people.
Are there some like common interests or like go more into that?
Well, I think definitely we definitely like jokes. So there's definitely like we don't take shit too seriously, and like we're also dreamers too. So it's like we can talk big fucking things about our lives, and we could talk about mad jokes and clown on people. And we just have a great relationship, and there's a lot of positivity. I mean, we're obviously very different. Like this dude wakes up and he wants like a smoothie and shit. Me, I want a coffee. So like we're different people. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, just getting a smoothie, getting a stretch. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, shit, I'm getting a coffee. Like I mean, we're different, but like we vibe on a lot of things because I think that we have, I don't know.
You both have like this sort of laid back, Big Lebowski kind of the dude type of vibe.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
In the best possible way.
Yeah.
I mean that, like
no,
you guys
totally.
are kind of zenned out in a way.
I just try not to take my shit so seriously, because you can drive yourself crazy in this business.
For sure.
So, yeah. Because it's fucking crazy.
It is.
I don't know how much cursing is allowed here.
Oh,
as much as you can.
Sanctuary. But
it's a place to get it out.
Yeah, for sure.
The first sort of big break, which we were kind of talking about earlier, was the working on the Boondocks.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about what life was like prior to, and then how that changed things.
Honestly, man, I don't know if it changed too much. I mean, it was a cool break. I mean, in the sense it was the first thing that I did. I was in a real studio, I guess. I mean, so to speak. You know, wasn't like crazy, but you know, so I learned a lot, man. I learned a lot about how to act in the studio. Like to be honest, that was actually one of the biggest things, because like I learned when to shut the fuck up, because a lot of times, to me, like the best people in the studio just know when to say things and when to not. You know, even like the best engineers and producers, like you got to kind of feel it out. And I think that the music supervisor on the show, he was very good. He was a pretty good people manager. And so I watched him, and I understood that. And like, you know, you can't do everything. So there has to be some delegation. And then also the vibe has to be good. People have to feel good, man. If, you know, the worst studio sessions, and I don't really have these, to be honest, because I don't take my shit that seriously, but like when it's very stale, everybody's quiet, everybody's on their phone, and everybody's waiting for like one weird moment. The funny thing with me is like, I gotta feel like relaxed in the room. So like to me, for me to get that moment, that spark, I gotta be comfortable, man, you know?
What do you need to be comfortable most times?
Incense.
I don't fucks with the incense, man. You know what? One, I don't like when it's like the lights are crazy, like, you know, bright.
Yeah.
But I also don't need it like dark as, you know, crazy dark. I mean, for me, this is gonna be random, but like, I need my space clean, man. I need the desk clean.
Okay.
Like, I don't like a lot of clutter, and clutter will make like it, because my mind is already, you know what I mean, all over the place, thinking of 10 things at once. So I like my area to be hella clean, and then I'm ready to go. I want everything just like nice and beautiful. Even my desktop, like, I don't know, I don't like a lot of clutter. That wasn't something I did initially. My shit used to be crazy messy, records everywhere, everything. But now I like it nice and clean, because then I can just focus on one thing. I don't have to. There's no visual distractions for me. It's a monitor and my, you know, some instruments and all that.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. And so back to the whole thing with the Boondocks opportunity, though. Like, describe, I guess, what your daily routine was, or your process prior to like Boondocks. You're in your room making beats.
Right. Yeah, man, I was just in my room making beats. I got an internship at this place called Chrysalis Music. It was a publishing company. So really, honestly, I was making music. A friend of, actually my best friend, he was kind of doing some stuff like at a very young age, like opening up for DJ Babu and stuff at like 16 with the group. So, you know, I'd kind of mess with him, but he was cool. He was too cool, like a little bit. Like, you know, I was like not as cool at the time, you know, but I got cooler, I guess, to him over the years. But so, you know, I would just like make tracks, man. And I would either be sampling via record or playing everything and trying to make it sound like a sample. I was a super hip hop head. You know, my mom, she was listening to like a lot of like old 60s records that I would love, you know, to try to recreate or to sample. And, you know, and I loved hip hop, man, you know, so I put those two together, and I would just make tracks in the room, and that was it. That's what I was saying. I was just making music in a room, and I don't think it was that like productive, but that's what it was, you know? And I got this internship at Chrysalis, and I got pretty cool with an A&R assistant there, which was the biggest deal ever at the time. And I remember I like handed her some records, and I remember I heard her listening to an office, so I like started acting like I was like needed to be near her office for something, like just to see if she would be skipping some shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I
Also-
was like, oh, she likes number 3. You know, it's a CD. But and then that's kind of how I got involved. You know, she hooked me up with the Boondocks situation. But that's really what I was doing, man. I was honestly just making tracks in the room. And this is once, you know, as I was saying before, I was making beats on a friend's keyboard. Now I had my own equipment at this point. I had an MPC, I had a Triton. Or I don't even know if I had the MPC at this point, but yeah.
You had the Triton, though.
Definitely had the Triton.
Yeah.
I might have the MPC. I was borrowing my best friend's MPC all the time as much as I could.
And how many other people did you give CDs to, you know, prior to this opportunity? Because I imagine, or was this just like a first CD you ever burned and gave it to this one first person? And
I don't know. I remember giving it. This is so random. I do remember giving a CD to Bubba Sparks.
oh, okay.
like around that time, maybe a year after or a year before.
Was this pre-ugly or post-ugly?
Man, I don't even remember. I just remember it was Bubba Sparks, and I saw him. I was like, "Yo, get the CD." I had this, you know, busted ass Ford Escort. You know what I mean? I was like, ran in the car and got that shit. He was in like, you know, some, you know, music store or whatnot. But I don't know if I gave that many CDs out, man. I know I'd always see the stories like, get them ready, you know? So I would kind of have them with me, but not really, because it's like, who the hell wants to keep a CD in the pocket, you know?
Right.
So like, I just knew that I needed people to hear my stuff, and I really wanted to get in people's ear. And like, I was like, oh, well, this lady's an A&R, so like, I got to get cool with her. And she gave me my first real opportunity. It was Kira. I will love her forever for that. Like, I really do. Like, she always believed in me. Even when I would talk to her like 7, 8 years later, she's like, I still listen to your tracks on CDs. You know, she was very supportive, and like that gave me some confidence, man. That's really what you need in order, I guess, you know, on that hustle tip. You also have to have the confidence too, just to put your head down and just know you're doing something, you know.
And how did you know though? Because I mean, you know,
I didn't, bro.
Right.
I'm self-deprecating all the time, so it's like I was just like, man, I'm just gonna make some shit, and hopefully it's like hot, and people have the little scrunchy face, like, damn, that shit's hot when I play it, and that was the only intention, man. I didn't know, man. Like I just wanted. You know, when you play a hot beat, it's like, ugh, you know, it's got that face, this face. That's what I wanted people to do. That was my only intention. I knew, obviously, I wanted to be, you know, and I still do. I just want to be, like, you know, remarked upon, like, you know, my productions. So I knew that, but just, there was no, like, I don't know. I wish I could say, like, yo, I had this master plan, and I was going to give my CD and all that. But, like, I honestly was just going and just being, like, flailing, just like, all right, you know, just trying anything, man.
Yeah.
Well, let's key in on some of the adversity though, real
Talk to
quick.
me.
We had a producer on here, you might know, Benny Cassette,
Of course.
right?
Yes,
Who
Benny's a good
shared
guy.
about he was on, you know, on the couch, top ramen every night. You know, do you have any of those moments, Oren? Like,
Yeah, man, all the time. I mean, I first off, man, I was like, I mean, I worked, you know, it was whack. I mean, I didn't start doing this like right outside of school, man. You know, I had to work some bullshit. You know, so I was taking calls about toilets and shit. You know what I mean? I had like a real estate job and all sorts of shit, man. So it wasn't like, I mean, it was crazy. I mean, I remember I was living in this apartment and like my roommate got, you know, carjacked, or not carjacked. They like robbed him at gunpoint or whatnot.
Whoa.
And it was just, I just remember being like, oh, fuck this neighborhood, man.
Near where you were living?
Yeah,
Like
no, it was right
like
outside his crib. And
Wow.
they took all his shit. He had everything. He had like his laptop and all sorts of shit.
Wow.
So, shit, what was the question? I'm sorry.
so just like that
Oh,
go
yeah.
into the adversity more
Yeah.
specifically, like.
Yeah, I mean, man, it was just, I definitely remember trying to scrap every dollar to make it happen for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't tell you a specific instance. I remember living in definitely a crappy apartment and eating some whack food that my wife still makes fun of me about. And
selling
because it was cheap.
And selling toilets?
Oh, no,
What
I
was
wasn't selling toilets. That's funny. Yo, that'd be funny as fuck. No. I was like working at this, like with this real estate dude. He was whack. I would like help him, like, you know, I would answer his calls. So it'd be like, hey, my toilet's like not working. I'm
like a property. He was like a property manager
exactly.
or something like that.
Yeah, he owned like a bunch of stuff. And I would just, you know, watch over his stuff. And it was the worst.
Was that the worst job?
That's not the worst job I had, but actually it might have been, man, because it was just so whack. I mean, it was right at, like next to the school that I went to. And this guy, he was so whack. He used to sit there and eat radishes and shit. But by the way, I fuck with radishes, but like he would sit there with a bowl of radishes. Like you'd come in and eat a bowl of radishes. And I just remember like, because he was like, I don't know, man. He had an issue with like Indian people and stuff. And that's why I was like, man, I'm ready to get the fuck out of here, man. He had an issue. He was just like, man, I'm sure he was no offense to anybody listening, but like a Trump like supporter. You know what I mean? I'm sure he's bumping that "Make America Great Again" right now.
Right.
So anyway, yeah. I mean, that job was fucking horrible, man. I'm really happy because it was right by the school so I felt like I was kind of a loser. I was like, I'm working right next to the school that I just graduated from this douchebag eating radishes. You know what I mean?
Like I've made it.
That I'm telling you, that was probably really tough to deal with. Because like my jobs before that, they were like funny, man. Like, you know, I worked at the Hollywood Bowl for a few years. You know, when I was a kid, like 15. I was like doing popcorn. You know what I mean? So it was like not that, you know, it was kind of, you know, it was stressful, but like.
You ever try to sneak backstage or do anything crazy at the Hollywood Bowl job?
No, we used to like go smoke in the back though. This is one guy, I think his name was like Casey. And he always used to say this random quote that we used to make fun of, but like he's like, yo, let's go in the back. And we're like, okay. And then like everybody would, you know, go during like after intermission, like it would be all quiet and we would just go and like smoke cigarettes or something.
Right.
So.
Nice, man. The transition from then all of that to now you're making music. You're making music and it's going somewhere. You get this placement with Boondocks. You're like in that space. After that, were there ever times in which you picked up a another job in the meantime, or was it then wheels up from there and it was like, hey, now music is everything?
No wheels up whatsoever, man. This was pre like this real estate toilet job, man. I was like 17, 18. I was like, oh, this is awesome. I was really excited. And I got cool with the music supervisor, et cetera, but didn't really lead to much. So man, I was like doing other stuff. I knew that this is what I was going to do. I wasn't trying to get a plan B. I really wasn't, man. I just never wanted to do that. I was like, I'm gonna make this shit happen, to be honest. So yeah, I worked a lot of bullshit, and and just I didn't know there was no wheels up whatsoever, man. I had to kind of refigure it out, and just was trying to make any connections I could, man.
Right.
Did you have friends you were coming up with that were also, in equivalent to the radish jobs as well, and then you saw them sort of catch their break, and you're like, yo, like, am I gonna catch my break? You know what I'm saying?
I definitely saw some LA cats around me starting to get in some waves, and I wasn't there yet, and that shit hurts. But like you also, I really put on with that now. That doesn't, because man, everybody is on their own clock, man. You know what I mean? So like I just learned that over time. Like never compare your story to somebody else's, man. Because there's cats that I knew that were doing it 7-8 years ago or not anymore. I'm somehow still here.
Right.
So, and they were doing a way big Willie back then. So it's like everybody has their own time clock and everything. Yeah, I saw some cats grow and we're doing some big things, but I was just trying to figure it out, man. That's really what it is. I was trying to just figure it out through hard work and dedication. I didn't really, looking back now, obviously, man, I would have done things differently and been a lot more calculated, but you can't look at it like that. I mean, it is what it is.
But when you were coming up to social media wasn't popping like it is now, I feel like, right? Yeah. Like, I feel like now...
It was MySpace and stuff, but yeah, no.
Not like it is with Instagram. But I feel like, so people are always being like, I feel like that can make, it's like FOMO or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like puts it more in your face, you know what I'm saying? Like when you're on your grind.
Yo, I literally don't know what FOMO, I always see that shit. I was like...
Fear of missing out?
Oh, okay. When you were saying, I was like, yeah.
You had FOMO over FOMO. Nice.
That's great.
Nice.
See, I'm not even on the internet like that, you know what I mean?
That brings up a good point though, because when you're watching other people, going back to what you said at the very beginning of just like working hard and really putting your head down and doing what you need to do and just like focusing on getting it done versus so worried about like, that should be me. I should have gotten that look. Right.
But that's so hard to do, man.
Oh, I know.
The thing is, this I think in general in life, you have to, controlling your mental state is everything. You can look at anything in two different ways. You can be like, man, I just had a top 10 record, but it wasn't number one. It's like you literally can look at anything in two sides of the story. So I really just try. It's hard, man. Sometimes I get bummed, man. I'll be like, yo, fuck this fool, man. You know what I mean? Like just like anybody else. But I try to keep like my mental state. I mean, I think that's really just the key, man. You have to keep yourself in a positive, confident place, and just like don't let things deter you, man, because that will kill you. It really will.
How do you go about doing that? Like, what are the things that you use in order to keep in that positive mental state?
I mean, that's a good question. I don't really. I mean, it's a couple things, man. I mean, one, I try to gain some perspective because the first thing I want to do, like, I mean, I get hot-blooded, man. I'm like, fuck this fool, but like, or just the situation. But I really just try to like gain some perspective on it, because that's the only way. Because I don't have like some like, you know what I mean? I go Thai boxing, like, you know what I mean? I go Thai bo. Like, I don't do that shit. I don't have like, this is my outlet,
Right.
Like music is my outlet. I don't have that. I mean, and I'm actually gaining more like, funny enough, like things like outside of music that I really like love, and it's actually helping music. It's funny enough. But
what are some of those things?
Well, I don't know. Just like trying to just like live life more. Like I mean, now I'm trying to enjoy when I go on a vacation. You know what I mean? Like just like in just regular people shit. Like I'm trying to enjoy.
Do you stay off your phone when you're on vacation?
Say it again. Do
you stay off your phone when you're on vacation?
I try to. Yeah. I mean, then you just gotta like fall in love with the book. Like, see, because my wife, she wants to like stay on the beach. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting there with my white ass like, fuck, just give me the fucking sunblock, and just give me a book or something. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, I mean, I guess everybody has their own way of like dealing with stress and like things that aren't going their way. For me, I guess reflection is probably the only way, because I don't have those like, like I said, those outlets where I'm like, man, I'm gonna go do like 12 push-ups, or like, or like I'm gonna go do like, I don't have that shit, and maybe I need that.
Yeah, but maybe that's
maybe I'm discovering. See, I learn about myself every day, man. I'm like, man, I need some shit, Actually, you know what I do like to do? I like to take a hike with my dog. Actually, I love that shit, but I don't get to do it enough because I'm just like been busy. But That I love, man.
Scheduling time is like, that's key, I feel
I hate to blow up the spot, but Kenneth Hahn, like if you're an LA cat, it's just beautiful, man.
Yeah.
You go up there and like, that's a great place to clear your head, man. You just got like kind of a almost damn near 360 view of the city.
Yeah.
It's a great place. Anyway.
Amazing. Let's talk a little bit about like sort of present day and, you know, what we're working on right now. You've got multiple projects that are going on. One of the bigger ones being this new album that we were talking about with Miley Cyrus that's coming. What was that like, that process of creating this project?
Well, before we go there,
so,
do you mind, how did you initially link with Miley?
Yeah, no, totally, man.
Let's get that in there.
So actually, we linked randomly from this dude who was Kanye's cousin, actually. Ricky. I'm blanking on his name. Ricky, actually, man. Ricky was really cool. And Ricky was like, yo, this girl, Miley, by the way, I didn't really know that much about her. You know what I mean? Because it was about 5-6 years ago now. And it was like, she was coming off of Hannah Montana. I was already still like a man at that point. So I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Like Hannah Montana, you know? He's like, yo, she can fucking sing. And I was like, you should work with her. I was like, okay, cool. Like I saw it as an opportunity, but I was also like a little sketch because it's like, I don't know, man. I don't really want to do some whack shit just because it's like, I don't know. But I'm at any rate, he hit me up like when he was just, I think he was managing Hip Boy at the time. He was like, yo, we're in the studio, come by. I came by and just started playing some records, you know? And everybody was really cool. I met Hip Boy already at that point. He was a nice guy. Ricky was obviously nice. It was the first time I met Miley and her manager. And yeah, man, it was dope. Honestly, I played a record, man, and like her manager like stood up at the time and like clapped. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
I looked really good.
Nice.
Like I looked good in this shit. Like I was like, okay, thanks, bro. It's funny because it was a record she didn't even take. It was actually for a different artist that he actually used for later. But so that's how we first met.
And going back to what you said earlier, it's all about the vibe, right?
Yeah.
And was the vibe there initially with you and Miley?
Totally,
Like
we were cool. I mean, but obviously me and her, and especially of course with her, she has to be reserved when she first meets somebody, even though she's a total sweetie when she meets people. But like. Yeah, we were totally cool. We didn't talk that much. Like everyone was playing tunes. There was like 20 people in the studio. You know, it wasn't like there was like a lot of alone time. But we were cool. You know, we said peace, and she was really nice. I had definitely a positive. I was like, she's cool. You know, she was nice. And then there was one record she wanted to cut, and we got in the studio, and you know, within like 10 seconds, she was like, "Yo, let's roll a blunt." I was like, "Oh shit, okay, cool." And then yeah, we've been working together ever since. Really, I mean, yeah.
And it's been years now.
Yeah, we were working together I kind of was when she started working on Bangers in 2012, early 2012 when we started working. We went to Philly together and did a bunch of records. She only actually ended up using one called Adore You, which was on there. But yeah, it's cool.
Nice. And then with this new album that's coming, I mean, your fingerprints are all over this new album, though.
Yeah.
Tell us a little more about that.
I did the whole thing. You know, we've been building for a while, and yeah, I think for her, she wanted to just keep it really easy, and she trusts me. And we just started building. I was like sending her records, just like kind of like almost like fully produced tracks and stuff, and she would write to it, and you know, we just built from there. And then over time, we had a body of work, you know, that she liked. Yeah.
Was that a part? I mean, going back to sort of the Hustle Sanctuary side of it. I mean, at this point now, like you've got a record off of her last album that did well. There's a vibe that's there. You're sending records back and forth. But are you consciously also like, man, I'm hoping that she takes a lot of these records, and I'm hoping that this turns into a project.
You know, I think after a while now, understanding this business, like just getting a cut with an artist doesn't do much. Like it really doesn't. Like yeah, you might get that like love on social media, like you got all those likes, but it's like, what is it really doing for you if it's not a record that connects? If anything, it's kind of a stain in your record, in my opinion. I don't know about a stain, but like it doesn't, you know.
It's a non-factor.
So I guess for me, like when I work with Miley, like my only intention is for her and me to make great music. Like I'm not like, oh shit, I hope this like lands on a record, because like if it lands, it's like, yeah, like whatever, but it's like if it doesn't really connect, it's not going to do much for me. It's just like a cred that's there, but didn't make a splash, create any momentum. So when I was working with her, I just was trying to make the best stuff as I usually do with her. I was just like, man, let's make some hot shit and hopefully people like enjoy it, you know? Because me having a song with her, like if I didn't work with as much as I did, I'd be like, yeah, I got a song with Miley. But it's like I work with a bunch, so it's like we just do ideas and hopefully this shit's hot. Like that's what I want, you know. It's not really about like a project or anything. It's about songs and ideas and connecting, I think.
Right. Well put. Well said. Yeah.
Can we throw it back to controversy for a second?
Oh, all
just
right.
because there's a
Okay.
question that I wasn't sure. So like the VMAs from like a couple years ago, like Nicki Minaj was like, "What's good, Miley?" or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
what was that about?
I don't even
really
really
don't
know.
know,
I
so
don't
it's
even
like-
know. I don't really even know either, to be
Yeah.
honest, man. I mean, as you said, I didn't even know what FOMO was, guys. So like, I don't know if you want me to know about Nicki Minaj, Miley Cyrus beef. I don't really know. She might have said something in an interview. She's always very open and like, she's a very opinionated and that's, that's her and she's a good thing. But like, so maybe she said something I'm assuming that Nicki didn't like. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I mean, obviously Nicki's amazing in her own right and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I hope they stay on good terms. I mean, because, all that shit is dumb anyway. You know what I mean?
Right.
Really. Like,
It is.
like, I don't know, the whole like beef with like Taylor Swift and Katy Perry, like this shit is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. It's like over dances. Like, yo, y'all got like 100 million in the bank. Like, y'all are fighting over fucking dancers like on a tour. I don't know, man. There's like priorities.
That ego is crazy, right?
That's
Yeah.
really what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're just lovely ladies. And they just probably it's just so funny how, I guess the reason why I'm bringing it up is like so funny how two clearly like awesome people who can write incredible songs could fight over something so stupid. You know what I mean? Like so stupid. And I guess same thing with Nicki and like Miley. Like, who gives a shit, dude? The world is falling down. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
right.
Honestly, like, you know what I mean? All that shit is so fucking stupid to me. Some of that shit is funny though. I mean, there's occasional beef that I'll chuckle. You know what I mean? Like the Joe Budden and Lil Yachty one had me
Right.
chuckling.
Right.
That was funny, but it has to have a meaning. I mean, oddly enough, that beef had meaning. It was old school versus new school rap. There was a meaning behind it. So yeah, all that like
That's interesting.
to make it a short story very long. Yeah, I don't know about that beef.
Oren likes beef with substance, basically,
I do.
is what you're trying to say.
I like the filet mignon with substance. I do.
I love that. You've got a couple of questions that you always like to do, and so we're gonna run Oren through a couple of questions that we have to finish it up.
All right.
Holla at me, young Samson.
Bro, we're bringing the wheels down.
Wheel it up. Wheel it down.
Wheel it down. What advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
It was kind of like what I was saying in the beginning, man. Like, get with other like-minded people. Don't sit in a room and play and chop up samples and like try to make shit sound cool. Like, it doesn't do anything, man. I think it sharpens your sword, but like you can sharpen it as you're making songs and learning it. And I think that's the best way to do it. We're a group. We humans function in groups and things happen in waves.
Yeah,
so that's what I would say.
It's great advice.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
What's your biggest blessing in disguise?
Man, this has been a couple, man. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm just thinking like one, I was in a band for a while. It didn't really turn out too well. But it was cool because I learned a lot about dynamics of a band. So then when I've recorded bands, I know what's up. I know there's usually going to be one dude who's a little off. You know what I mean? And, it's really about managing personalities, So like that band thing really taught me about managing personalities in a room, in a dynamic, because there's always going to be one person who's, I hate to say it, usually going to be working against sometimes in the studio. Like, there's always going to be that one, like, negative Nancy.
Yeah.
And you have to get him on the page too, because he's the weak link and you're only as strong as him. So, that's what I'd say.
Word. What's your favorite quote?
Shit, man. Yeah, I mean, keep it simple, stupid. You know what I mean? I think we were talking about that earlier. It's like, like these great chefs, man, they'll put like 3 ingredients in something, man. You know what I mean? Somebody was telling me this amazing story how they went to this like crazy, this mixer, he's incredible, Manny, and he was like saying how he went to this incredible restaurant and the chef, it's like the best restaurant in the world. He went there and the dude brings out for his first course plums, not even cut up, just some plums. You know what I mean?
Wow.
But they were handpicked by himself, and like, so I
Sure.
just think that those simple ingredients to things, as long as those are incredible, that's great quote to me because of that. Because
And do you have to remind yourself often in this studio?
all the time, yeah. Because when you want to make things bigger, or there's so many things you can do like at our disposal. I can make something sound like it's from the 60s. I got a tape machine at the spot. I mean, there's so many things you can do in today's world. And it's like, but you also have to know why you're doing something, and everything has to have a purpose. And I try to figure that out every day. Like, does this sound have a purpose in this record?
Also, the other side is analysis paralysis when you got too many choices. It's
Totally.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And I work through that every day too. Because like I try to think about what are the best, most juicy things that I want to accomplish, and the sounds that I want to hear. Because exactly, if you don't, then you're like, what am I gonna? It's like you just gotta have that confidence. And
For sure. Last question: a mental block that was there for you 5 years ago that's no longer there for you today?
Yeah, let me think. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I probably give a fuck a little less, right? Like we were talking. Yeah, I mean, like overall, I think that I'm caring less what people, have to say about me, because I mean, man, we don't got that much time on this bitch, So I just want to like feel good about my life, and it's just so funny when you get to like a certain level. It's like you got to feel good, man. It's not because any accolades, none of that shit. You have to feel good when you wake up in the morning and you have a purpose. And if you notice, everybody when they get older, they like old, not like our age, but like older, they're always like thinking about that, because you need to fulfill that. It's the only thing you kind of have. So I think that's something, just not giving a fuck, and that's helped me gain greater purpose for what I'm trying to do. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I don't know if I answered that well, but
no, you did.
That worked.
Well put.
Okay,
Absolutely, man. It's been a pleasure having
fellas.
you on the Hustle
thank you.
Sanctuary.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Hapa. Appreciate it, fellas.
Yeah,
Thank you.
man.